All right, so let's get right into it. Sometimes to really get a piece of work, you can't just look at the finished product. You got to understand the person behind it, right? And I don't mean their resume or list of their accomplishments. I mean their story, the real lived in context that gives the work its soul. And this story, it starts right here. My name is Renee Francis Conn. I'm a fifth-generation Montanan. This is so important because it immediately grounds us. We're not talking about some abstract theory from an ivory tower. This is rooted, literally, in generations of life on the land.
So, a story of place, grounded in rural reality. To really get this, you have to picture a ranch in rural Montana. I mean, this is a place where birth and death, the changing seasons, that's not something you just read about. It's the actual rhythm of your day-to-day life.
Think about what that does to you. Spring meant survival. Winter? Well, that meant uncertainty. Getting through another day was never just an idea, it was real. And living like that, it shapes how you see everything. You learn about systems, about how fragile things are, in this incredibly practical way. It's basically a masterclass in just paying attention to what's actually happening around you. All right, lessons from the land, formative influences. And in that world, the two biggest influences, the two main teachers, were her parents, Mike and Rita. And really, their influence is the foundation for everything that comes after.
And check this out, you can really see these two totally different but complementary streams of wisdom she got from them. From her dad, Black Jack, a total jack of all trades, she got this practical, systems-level thinking. He was a philosopher in his bones. He just got how things worked. And then from her mom, Bubbles, came this whole other kind of intelligence. The caregiver, the artist. She carried the stories, the songs, the quiet, intuitive wisdom that holds a family and a culture together. And on top of that, she grew up as an only child. Now, you might think that sounds lonely, being way out there, but it wasn't. It was more like a training ground. All that solitude, it basically forced her to become a keen observer, to learn how to really listen, and to build an imagination that can make sense of it all. A practice of witnessing, a life of listening. So you see how this all connects, right? That foundation from her childhood, all that quiet observation, it flows directly into her professional life. It becomes this incredible practice of listening to people and seeing the patterns in their lives. And how long did she do this? 25. 25 years. For a quarter of a century, she worked quietly, one-on-one with people, in a profession based on care. And this wasn't some public, flashy role. Nope. It was all built on trust, behind the scenes, far away from any spotlight. So what do you learn from 25 years of that kind of work? Well, you learn how the big things in life, stress, grief, healing, how they actually show up in regular people's lives. You learn the incredibly hard skill of just noticing, of bearing witness, without jumping in to fix everything. And maybe most important of all, you'll learn to recognize the deep intelligence people have, long before they even have the words for it themselves. But here's the twist. At the exact same time all this quiet, human-centered work was happening, she was living through every single major digital shift. And she wasn't just a bystander watching it all happen on a screen. No way. She was right in it, learning the systems, learning to write for this new world, figuring out how information moves online. Okay, so now we need to shift gears a little to the most personal part of this story. Because underneath all that experience, the ranch, the listening, the tech, there's this quiet but incredibly powerful driver. And it's born from loss. Both of her parents died young. Her mom from cancer at 42, her dad in a car wreck at 55. The facts are just laid out there. There's no need for drama because the weight of it is just immense. Losing both parents that young, it changes you. It fundamentally reshapes your understanding of what's precious and what's temporary.
And this is something so many of us learn the hard way. The sound of a loved one's voice, it fades. It fades way faster than you ever think it will. Our memories just aren't perfect recordings. And that painful realization that specific details can just vanish, that becomes a huge motivation for everything she builds next.
And at the end of the day, when you strip everything else away, it really just comes down to this one simple, honest truth. What I really want to say is this. I miss my parents. That's it. That's the heart of it all. It's not about business or ambition. It's about this deeply human feeling.
All right. Why this work? Why now? Connecting the threads. So now that we have all that context, the place, the parents, the profound sense of loss,
we can start to connect the dots. How does all of that personal history lead to work that feels so urgent, so necessary, right at this moment? Well, it really starts with this one central question. Whose knowledge counts? I mean, really think about that. In the world we live in today, what kind of wisdom do we actually value? And more importantly, whose voices, whose experiences are we just letting slip away?
And the problem she saw was this pattern, and it's a troubling one. Lived experience, the kind of stuff her parents knew in their bones, it's getting devalued, unless you can somehow monetize it. Wisdom is dismissed as unscalable. And what happens then? Well, good, capable people just go quiet. Trust starts to erode. Our systems feel less and less human. And that feeling of belonging, it starts to feel conditional, like something you have to earn over and over. A gift for others, a humane path forward. But here's the thing. This story isn't just about pointing out what's wrong. The work that grows out of all this is a constructive answer. It's an attempt to actually build a more humane way forward.
And let's be super clear here. The goal is not to stop technology. This is not some anti-tech crusade. It's about rehumanizing how we participate. It's about starting at a scale that's small enough to feel real, to build trust. It's about giving people humane ways to use these incredible tools on their own terms, to get their voice back.
And this is the pathway, the theory of change for how we get there. It's a really clear, step-by-step process. You start small by building competence with the tools. That competence then builds real confidence. That confidence helps a person find their voice again. And once they have their voice, they start to participate. When more and more people participate, all their unique knowledge starts to circulate. And what does that do? It fuels our collective civic imagination, our ability to imagine better futures together.
And this quote just brings it all home. Selfishly, I wish I had this for them and for myself. Since I don't, I'm building it for others. You see, the work is a direct answer to that personal loss. It's exactly what she wished she had to save her mom's songs and her dad's wisdom. It's taking that private grief and turning it into a generous, public gift, so that fewer lifetimes of wisdom just disappear, unrecorded. At the end of the day, that's what this is all about. It's about pushing back against the silence, making sure that all the essential, quiet wisdom that people hold from just living their lives isn't lost forever. This work is the next best thing to the gift I wish I'd had. And that really says it all, doesn't it? The reason, the why behind all this, is so simple, but also so powerful. It's an act of love, really. It's about turning personal loss into a public gift so that more voices, more stories, have a chance to be heard.